So it's August, and we're deep into movie blockbuster season. We've arrived at the theater and bought our tickets and our popcorn. We've chosen our seats and gotten comfortable, half ignoring, half keeping track of the trivia questions, the music videos, and the advertisements. We've been invited to visit the concession stand, and we've been reminded that cell phones can be disruptive. We've been teased or turned off by the coming attractions. And finally, with the theater fully darkened and the studio credits rolling to a close, we're ready. We have been led through the rituals of movie-going and now sit in anticipation. Our imaginations are primed. We're ready to be drawn in to a story. And movies, film can take us to some incredible places, from the slums of Mumbai to the lush alien world of Pandora, or from the harsh sepia realities of the Civil War to the frightening vision of calving glaciers in Greenland. Perhaps we're given some immediate context. Simple words in blue on a silent black background. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Or maybe we're immediately plunged into the action, watching a guy with a fedora dodge poison darts and rolling boulders, escaping sure death only by grabbing on to the pontoon of a seaplane as it takes off from a jungle lake. But whether we're talking about summer blockbusters or a serious documentary, it is all about story. When you think about it, actually, the experience of movie-going is somewhat akin to attending services on Sunday morning. We arrive and we participate to various degrees in all the rituals of our chosen congregation, and at some point we sit together, open and ready to experience a narrative of sorts. The power of the message is often directly related to how finely that narrative is woven. And while directors and artists and cinematographers can create some incredible images on the silver screen for our eyes to take in, there is still nothing quite so powerful as our human imaginations. It is our imaginations that can take the images on the screen or words spoken from a pulpit and immediately associate what is happening or what is being said in the moment with our own experience, our own story, our own emotions. 20th century theologian Henry Nelson Wyman wrote about the power of this kind of association. He defined he called it qualitative meaning, and he defined that qualitative meaning as the sum of the connections we make between our immediate experience and the qualities of many other past events that flood our memory and our senses even as we are experiencing something new in the moment. So the sum of what you or I bring to any situation, our stories, our relationships, our experiences, our hopes, our fears, all those things will influence and be influenced by that event. And because of that interplay, in any given encounter there exists the possibility of a shift in our perspective, a change, or even potentially a shift in the direction of our entire narrative. Stories and myths and poetry and art, theater and film all have the wonderful power to blend with our human experience and impact us deeply. So too, when we listen carefully to the stories other people tell and share our own stories and experiences with them, we are connecting on much deeper levels than we imagine, building on each other's story and creating an ever-deepening awareness and appreciation of each other and of this new world we are creating together. Wyman called this whole process the creative event, and he believed it could be our saving grace as a species. Yesterday here in the sanctuary, about 75 of us sat in a workshop about being a better ally, conversations, how we can improve our conversation skills. And a good part of that experience, a good part of that workshop was all about learning how to connect through story. It was a wonderful experience. Of course, doing this, connecting with other people, takes action on our part. Engaging, working, listening, reflecting, sharing, building on what comes out of our experience, widening the circle, even to include people who are different from us or with whom we disagree. For Wyman, the Unitarian theologian, this was not the work of God. The work was God. And he felt that what we needed to do is invest ourselves in this work, in this creative event. The harsh realities of life for so many and the systemic nature of evil to which we all contribute demand our attention. It is only when we begin to work towards a solution, when we share in the journey, that the creative event can take hold and spur us on. Consider simply the liberating power of storytelling in the Me Too movement. For as long as we have existed as a species, there have been stories. Stories that tell of our hardships and our fears, our triumphs and our joys, and all that runs in between. In fact, we are hardwired for story, thinking always in the narrative form. And like filmmakers, we are constantly reflecting, editing, rearranging, communicating, gauging potential reaction, re-editing to make meaning and build a personal story. Who am I? Why am I here? What do I care about? Where am I going? Stories are the medium that allow us to connect with each other, transcending generations and differences, sharing not only in daily life, but also the meaning and the purpose that we make from it. Whether they are related in film or from the stage or just between two individuals sitting next to each other, stories link us to ancient traditions, legends, archetypes, myths, and symbols. And great stories speak to the core of our existence, connecting us to something beyond ourselves, to universal truths. People are moved to climb the museum steps in Philadelphia because they have identified with the ordinary person who becomes a hero. People are moved to work for climate justice because the story of global warming and the survival of our planet is a compelling one. We need to share our stories and then open ourselves up to hearing the stories that other people have to tell. In that creative moment, in that interchange, there is a shared power that is contagious. Each of us has the power to tap into these stories. Each of us has this ability to share our narrative assets and become better communicators, to entertain, to share our history and our culture, our family stories, to spread knowledge, to persuade, to advance a cause, to dream, to teach. And each of us needs to listen to the other, and in so doing find different ways of looking at things with eyes that see the staggering, unfiltered reality and yet can still glimpse beyond it to a different possibility no matter how remote. But isn't it interesting that I've come this far and I haven't told a story yet? Naomi Newman is a wonderful actress, playwright, and storyteller out of San Francisco, and I once watched her on stage without any props, without any special lighting, and captivate an audience with this version of a creation story from the Jewish mystical tradition and from one of its most famous teachers, the Rabbi Isaac Luria. In the beginning, before there were any beginnings or endings, there was no place that was not already God. An unimaginable openness suffused with divine light. The mystics call this unimaginable openness Ein Sof, being without end, world without end. Ein Sof. Then there came this wonderful impulse to create something good from nothing. But as I said, there was no place that was not already God, so Ein Sof withdrew to make a space, like a father who withdraws, creating room so that a child can take their first steps. Rabbi Luria saw this withdrawing as the first step in creation, and he called it tzimtzum, contraction. Into this empty space, Ein Sof set bowls called kalim, great vessels that Ein Sof began to fill with divine light, like a mother who places bowls into which she pours her most delicious soup. As the light poured forth, a perfect world was being created, a world of wonderful variety, a world of abundance, a world filled with compassion. But then something happened. The vessels shattered. No one's explained why they shattered, though, of course, there's been much speculation. Some say the bowls were too fragile, too thin. Others say the divine emanations were too intense. Still, others say it's really not that hard to understand. Creation can be a messy business. No one makes perfect the first time. As the bowls shattered, divine sparks flew everywhere, some tumbling down through the void, some returning to Ein Sof. The ones that tumbled down were trapped in the broken and scattered shards of the vessels to become our world and us. The mystic called this shattering Sheberat HaKalim, the second stage of creation, a fitting image of our world. Broken, scattered, trapped in systems as small as a single person and as big as a global economy. Systems that somehow keep us from seeing, let alone reaching for the possibility of a larger, more healthy whole. Even those living on some favorable section of shard only seem interested in keeping or bettering their situation. But the story is still unfolding. And although it's hard to believe, the perfect world is still here, in and around us, but broken into jagged pieces like a puzzle thrown to the floor, the picture lost, each piece without meaning, until someone picks them up and puts them back together again. We are that someone. There is no one else. We are the ones who can find the broken pieces, remember how they fit together, and rejoin them. And we call this repair of the world. Tikkun Olam, the third and final stage of creation. In every moment, with every act, we can heal our world and us. We are all holy sparks dulled by separation, but when we meet and talk and eat and make love, when we work and when we play and disagree with holiness in our eyes, seeing Ein Sof everywhere, our brokenness will end, and then perhaps our bowls will be strong enough to hold the light, and our light gentle enough to fill the bowls. And as we repair the world together, we will see the wonderful variety. We will know true abundance, and we will feel the world full of compassion. And we will learn that there is no place, no person, no creature, no work, no play that is not already God. So may it be.